doing Mound Visit on a Thursday, so we obviously were on an All-Star break also, Case. And why not pull a little trigger here and take a couple of days extra for ourselves? A lot of news, a lot to talk about. Welcome to the show. If you've never listened to the Mound Visit podcast, we talk about anything and everything. Have guests from all sorts of backgrounds, experience, and of course, obviously our favorite sport, baseball. So the greatest game on
Damn
Thursday.
right.
Right? A lot of ground to cover, man. Just me and you today. Episode 24. God bless. We're going
It's
fast here.
it's the Ken Griffey Jr. episode. Last week we had the Michael Jordan episode, and now it's fitting that we have the Ken Griffey Jr. episode after the All-Star game in Seattle. So
There you go.
what'd you think about the All-Star game? All the festivities, the home run derby. What'd you think?
I wish I was there, man. It's one of my favorite cities traveling as a player. Just a cool part of the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, Griffey doing a lot of the things, calling out the first pick. Manfred was getting booed again.
I know.
I feel bad, but it's kind of funny. Understandable. Yeah, the draft is my draft was nothing like that. Now it's become such a cool thing, just like the NFL and NBA.
Yeah, it's
draft.
an event. Yeah.
It's an event. So yeah, I would have loved to have been out there. My son asked me if we could go. MLB game was a great game. The NL pulled it out. They had a little drought right there. So big home run deciding.
Big drought.
Right?
Big drought.
So,
Oh, yeah.
and I guess I hate to say this, man, the Braves are pretty solid this year, but if you're a Braves fan, it might bode well for them.
Yeah.
Any NL team, man, for that matter, when it comes to the
was
playoff tournament. Yeah.
The starting lineups, it was like the Rangers versus the Braves. So and rightfully so. I mean, it's two teams
Loaded.
that are playing
They're
really
good.
well. I mean, the Braves are. I think at this point it's interesting to look at, and this is a whole nother discussion, but I don't know if you agree, but I think at this point the Braves are just kind of in a class of their own. I know the Rays are probably the team to beat in the AL. We could talk about that, but I think the Braves are just there's no skirting around it at this point. They're clearly the best team. They've been playing like the best team all year.
Yeah.
So
Hang on. I know Guy Fieri, we had vultures flying. My birthday boy, Glover's birthday. It's his 9th birthday. He's scratching. He's
there you go.
usually on the show with me. So,
Yep, vultures for Guy Fieri. We've got dogs here.
Come on. We got Glover in the background. Come on, dude.
Let's start with the draft. We'll go in chronological order for All-Star Weekend. What did you think about? It was a very probably the most, not only the most anticipated, but the deepest draft talent-wise that we've had in a long time. And you could look right off the top. I think, the top 5 picks, a lot of experts were saying that any other year, if, those other 4 guys weren't in the draft, they would have all been number 1 picks.
Yeah.
So
No, it's interesting to see. This just shows the evidence that the game is getting better.
sure.
It's getting harder to make it. The game should progress and continue to get better, and athletes get better, and world records are broken, and home run records, and all these statistic records. If players are getting better and the game is progressing, then yeah, we should see some things. I mean, that's the exciting part of it, right?
Yeah.
And this Paul Skeens, man, what a power arm.
You happy about that pick for your Buccos?
I got to root for the Buccos. I was glad that we got another arm.
Yeah.
Everybody needs good pitching. Mm-hmm. I just hope we keep them. You know what I mean? Like, we get all this talent, but they're all it's all rental here. We're all rental properties, Airbnb players, and listen, he's going to get his feet wet as a Pirate, and may get his first deal here, and then who knows? Somebody will come in, crow him, probably Yankees or somebody, because he's dominating, and when Garrett Cole's retiring, this kid will step in and fill that role. I don't know, man. For the time being, I'm excited about it. You have to be. And, there's all that false hope here in Pittsburgh. We are like the Chicago Cubs until they won the World Series after 100 years. I don't know if I can wait that long. I won't be here to see it. But, no, amazing draft class. Even the high school talent. It's just going to be interesting to see how they bode well. I mean, sometimes the expectation, I hear even kid here in North Allegheny, right up the road from me,
Yeah.
was drafted, shortstop was drafted, and some people that I know that know him say, the word always is the minor leagues isn't what people think, right? The only place to play this game is in the big leagues. So if you don't like where you're at, play better. That's the motto, man.
It's a good point. Luckily for some of those college guys that were taken, specifically Skeens and Dylan Cruz and Wyatt Langford, who went 4th overall to the Rangers. I think you look at those guys, and they're probably not going to be in the minor leagues for very long. And I think you've seen the shift in philosophy. I mean, if there's a high school player who's really, really advanced, obviously he's going to get drafted. But I think you're seeing it, and with the players too. Why not take the chance and go to a high level Division I college and play really, really competitive baseball. And not only are you doing that, but you've got your backup plan. You get an education, and then you boost your draft stock even more from there if you're able to shine at that level, and a lot of guys are. And we saw that with Dylan Cruz. He would have been a high draft pick coming out of high school if he decided to go that route, but he went to LSU, and now he's the number 2 overall pick in the draft. And I think teams are taking that route as well, where they're looking at that college talent and saying, why we could take this high school player who might take 4 or 5 years ish to 3-4 years, whatever.
Enough, dude. If you're good enough, then you're going to be there.
Like right.
That's what I said. If you can handle it, you'll see it. I mean, you can handle AA. If you start out in AA and you're dominating, all right, move up the ladder, see how far you can go before you fail.
Sure.
And that's when you really learn, and you have to push yourself. For me personally, I did pretty well out of the gates in AA, and I was in AAA my first year, albeit because of a trade I filled in. They moved me up, and that's when I really was like, whoa, man. I'm facing some ex-big leaguers, some guys with experience, guys on the brink of the big league. So
you were also a college draft guy, so you were already a little. Not more, well, you were more advanced, I would probably.
Yeah, if I was a high school draft where I was in high school, I wasn't ready for pro ball. I would have probably been an A-ball, high A-ball, maybe got to AA, but listen, age isn't really the variable. I think it's just your skill set and what you've been exposed to, right? These kids that have played in a high-level high school area, usually in Florida or out in California, some of these talent pools that these kids are playing at a high level, even in high school, or you play that D1, man, you're gonna jump into the minor leagues, and you should be dominant, with your skill set, especially if you're in the first round picks.
Well, and that was what was interesting about the first high school player who was taken, Max Clark, and I mean he's tools off the board, obviously, and that's what a lot of
an influencer, man. That kid markets the heck out of himself.
Yes, he knows exactly what he's doing. He does a great job with that. He
might make more money. He might make more money off the field now.
My God, if he hasn't already, it's true. I mean, the stuff that he does and the way that he uses his social media and, like you said, to market himself is incredible. And I think honestly, say that again.
Whoever's doing the video editing and filming is his number one, sidekick, part of his team.
But it's also, I mean, he's someone that I think a lot of big leaguers now can take note from. I mean, this is what the following that he has is. I mean, he's got more followers than some of the best players in the big leagues. I can't remember the exact list, but I know like Jose Ramirez, Rafael Devers, guys like that. He's got a bigger following than these guys, and you're talking about some of the biggest stars in our game.
Well, I think it's the generation too. He's appealing to the younger kids, and again, I think it's great for baseball.
Yeah,
baseball seems to be really hot right now. Everybody says, "Oh, it wasn't." I feel like baseball right now is gaining some good momentum and popularity, which is nice to see, because I think everybody was trying to sit there, and whether they're going to credit the time of the clocks and all that, I don't know. But there's a lot of changes, and it looks like it might be for the better. As long as the game is flourishing, I'm all for it, man.
I don't think it's the clocks, and if people want to point to that, they can, whatever. But I think it's the talent in the game. There's so much young, incredible talent in this game that we were able to see over this past weekend, and it's a good segue to not only from the draft but to the All-Star game and the Home Run Derby. I mean, the show that Julio Rodriguez put on in the Home Run Derby. You've got Adley Rutschman in the he put on a great show. Luis Robert is still young.
Who'd you pick to win it?
I picked Pete. That didn't go very well. And I want to say, I want to go out.
I went with my Blue Jay. I went with my Blue Jay. I said he's going to do it, and it was cool to see. First father-son combo, right?
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it was.
I pitched against his dad, man. He was tough out.
Yeah. Did he ever get you on one of those like ground ball golfing it off the ground?
No, the first time I faced him, he hit one off of his shoelaces, one-handed out in front to the wall. My heart, I was like, this guy is so good of a bad ball hitter. As I said, he almost like threw it down the middle just to hope he got out. But
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was cool to see Vladdy did the trick, man, and win the home run derby. But I have to say, even as a pitcher, it is fun to watch. But I liked the format when it was 10 outs. And here's why. When guys are rushing through it, I think it puts pressure. Well, it obviously does put pressure, but it you can't watch some of these towering shots and really take the time and appreciation for it. Like, and I think these kids that they got shagging, they're getting killed because they're like throwing a snowball fight. Throw one up in the air. Well, here's another one. Here's another missile coming at you from off of Vladimir Guerrero's bat at 115 exit velocity right at your dome. I wouldn't let my kid out there. I don't know about you, but no. The 10-out format, it was just something I kind of like that better, but that's not they could give two shits about my opinion, you know.
I think you make a good point, though, and the reason that so I like the timed format in the essence that it allows for more home runs. I think the only issue with the 10-out format for me is that, you know, you could have your favorite come in and he could go cold for 10 swings. Whereas when you have that 10-out or the 3-minute format, whatever it is, if you take 10 bad swings, you've still got, 2.5 more minutes to hit as many home runs as you can. But I agree with what I think.
These guys' obliques are burning, bro.
Oh my God, I know. You could see their back legs start shaking after.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's why some of these guys. I think that's why Guerrero Jr. didn't want to do it. He's probably like, I don't want to injure myself. And they know, you kind of know, like, hey, you're going to the All-Star game and it's fun, but dude, it is exhausting. It's a fun-studded, star-studded red, carpet weekend. But going back to regular season starting, there's really no break for you.
Right, exactly.
It's not a break. So even Garrett Cole looked like he was just kind of coasting through. He had a 1-2-3 inning thanks to nice, amazing catches. But yeah, he wasn't out there blazing, his best fastball.
You make a good point, and I think to finish off on that derby point, what you said is true, and I think everybody agrees. What was so awesome about the 10-out format was that you got the chance to marvel at these majestic shots that these guys are hitting. And I think that's the problem with the speed round is, and even from a production standpoint, I'm watching this on ESPN and I'm going, the cameras can't keep up with this, first of all. Like, there's not enough time to go between. No. And the split screen, to me, works sometimes, but like it's confusing and there's a lot going on and you've got their score up at top and it's just like, I think
it's old school. I know we're talking
but there's a part of that that's true for sure. So I definitely
it's a pace. I think it allows the player to have a pace.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think it protects the player too, which, like it or not, they're there to put on a show. But I wouldn't want some of my marquee middle of the order lineup guys that are hitting bombs pulling an oblique because they're trying to hit 50 home runs in 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, to that part of the show, but the chain game, I've never seen more high-fashion jewelry.
Talking red carpet action. Yep.
I want to go to the mall and just drop coin on getting a new dog collar, dude. Some of these chains, and the Latins always have had the best jewelry game, in my opinion. Those guys have gear. Maybe that's why their necks are so thick. They wear all that jewelry, bro.
Did you see Ronald Acuna's chain with the chain of himself doing that?
Unbelievable.
I thought that was pretty sick. I would love to know
the price tags on some of these. We'd have to look up online to see what these guys are doing, but it's unbelievable. So
yeah.
And speaking of chains, and dog collars, it is Glover's birthday.
There you go. That's right, the birthday boy. Happy birthday,
nine.
Glover. How
He's
old is
9 today.
Glover?
9.
9? All right.
He's
How
living
old-
forever, man.
What is that in dog years? What's 9 in dog years?
9 times 7 is 63, right? They get times
Look at that.
60-year-old man, dude.
Wow. I love
But
it.
anyway,
I love it. It was a good, I think, to round it out, talking about, I want to ask you this as we talk about the All-Star game, and the home run derby obviously is great, and I think it's the best skill competition in sports. I don't think there's anything like it. The dunk contest has lost its shine because the stars don't compete in it. That's another conversation, but I really do think the home run derby is the best competition in all of sports, and for that reason alone too, I also think that the All-Star game is the best All-Star game in sports as well, because you
100%.
can't take like an at bat off. But
No.
with that being said,
they're not dogging it. They're not dogging it.
right,
out
exactly.
there.
Like you can't just go out there and throw 50 miles an hour because
Right.
it's
Don't
that,
embarrass yourself, especially
Right.
your first All-Star appearance.
right, exactly.
I want to be invited back. I want to show myself like I'm worthy of the selection, right? So,
Right. But I want to ask you, do you think that has the All-Star game almost lost a tiny bit of its shine? Because to me it was just and I don't really know exactly what it is, but I felt I was missing something when I was watching that game.
uniforms, man. I don't like the uniforms.
I think that's
seeing
part
all
of it.
the-
Absolutely.
I think, mine. I'm thankfully I'm old school, and
Sure.
it's because I played in the era that taught me to be the player that I had to be.
Yeah.
And wanted to be. Yeah, I like seeing the original uniforms
too.
with the stars on them instead of just the uniform. I get maybe I don't know. Like I said,
I'm with you.
They
100%.
don't ask our opinions, but we're just giving ours, and I don't know if you agree or disagree out there, So we'd love to hear.
I think
what you guys
the
think.
majority of people agree with you, to be honest. And I think the All-Star game tops are cool for warm-ups, for the home run derby, for BP, for all that stuff. That's fine. And you're going to, how much more money is MLB going to make? How many more, jerseys are you going to sell having the players wear them in the game? You know what I mean? As opposed to their regular jerseys, which is what everyone loves. I just think
Absolutely.
you love seeing that. That's an iconic part of the All-Star game, seeing all these guys playing together. It's like Field of Dreams. You got all these guys on the same team in their different uniforms, for crying out loud. It's so cool. You know what I mean? But
Get a new jersey and a new chain, and that's
you're
where
ready
we're
to
at.
go. Last question about the All-Star game. I guess I know you
Mic'd
wanted to
up?
talk about the mic'd up, but I want to ask you one more thing and see how you would feel about this. Because I think you think about the stars, like you think about your Mike Trouts, your Mookie Betts, those guys who have been at the All-Star game 8, 9, 10 times. I think that it's probably fair to say, when those guys go a couple of times, they probably don't want to go anymore because of everything that you just said with how exhausting the All-Star schedule is.
Listen, Joey Votto.
Yeah.
I was so excited. I didn't want to miss anything because it was my first.
Sure,
chance.
yeah,
Joey
yeah.
Votto was getting dressed right before the home run derby. I said, "Where you going?" He's like, "I got dinner plans." I'm like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "I don't get this, man. Aren't you excited?" But he's probably, like I said, just like, "All right, I've been here, done that,"
Right.
kind of thing.
Right.
I don't know. I was like a little kid, man. But
But what do you
again,
think? What do you think could happen to maybe get the players just a little more juiced up? Because what I thought was, what if you bring back the USA versus the world teams? What if you bring that back? Because then not only is it, obviously you're playing and trying to win, but like this is bragging rights. It's like the U.S. guys are trying to win, all the Dominican, Japanese, whatever. All these guys are trying to win too. It's more. You think that would bring more juice to it as a former player?
well, then I guess you take away the home field advantage rule. That
Hasn't been a rule for a while, so they got rid of that a while ago. So I did
Right, so
I didn't hate that, but yeah.
I think, just like I said, trying to make it more competitive.
Sure.
Again, I thought those guys were playing hard. Like I
Yeah,
said,
no,
I
of
don't
course,
think
yeah.
we dogging it.
I just more
But-
mean like for guys that are the stars in the game wanting to, making more of an effort to be there at the All-Star game is more
Right.
what I meant. I don't know if that would help at all.
I don't know, man. Maybe we'll sit with Manfred and we'll get cheered instead of booed if
That's
we
a good.
come up with a rule that changes the
He's gonna have to
the
change a
feel,
lot to
the
not
feel
get
of it.
booed. I think.
Oh man, I
Poor
think
guy. Not
he
really.
even I thought his voice even kind of started a little bit when he was out there
Yeah.
making his intro because it was like it is probably just a wave of boos coming away,
Mm.
and I've been booed before, so I feel his pain, man. You know, you got to respect, give some respect, but you don't
Yeah, he
have to
kind
be
of
like,
did it to himself. I hate to say
yeah,
it, but yeah.
yeah, no, absolutely. He's from up that way too, Rome, New York, man.
Yep.
He's one of our upstate New Yorkers. But no, the All Star. I don't know if I guess I've tried to put myself in a situation where I've been mic'd up before,
Yeah.
but not while I'm pitching
Yeah.
or hitting. And that's to me, I was like, I'm laughing because I'm like, well, maybe I wasn't that good. These guys are that much better than me because I took it seriously, man. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was serious. I like to fool around on the side and during BP,
Yeah.
but during the game, I couldn't do it, man.
Yeah.
I peed, pooped, and puked before I pitched because I was like, all right, we got to get locked in here, right? So being mic'd up, I don't know if I was mic'd up, nobody wanted to hear, or me shitting my pants before the game or during the game. But yeah, no, these guys. It is interesting to see how they can have such a good time and still be loose, and it's good to see. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I was
It's cool.
wound too tight. I was wound
Well,
too tight for that.
I think the part of that too, and I love watching the mic'd ups. For me personally, for the last few years, that's been my favorite part of watching the All-Star games.
Because
Has
it
been
humanizes the players.
yeah,
right?
exactly,
It
and
makes them say, "Oh, okay, this guy's a guy. This guy's a guy. Like
right,
he's Frosted Flakes, and he likes KFC,
yeah,
or
sure,
puts his
no,
pants on the same way I do. They might be a little bit nicer pants, but
yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, he's putting on some Lululemons, but that's
yeah,
that exactly. But no, it's a good point you make, and I think they do. I think with that mic'd up comes the challenge of making sure you pick the right guys also, because I think there's certain guys who can and can't do it. Like you said, you might not be able to do both of that while you're pitching, but a guy like Evaldi was what I loved. And we talked about him too. Like you talk about Manoah, where he's talking to John Smoltz and asking him what pitches to throw. And like Evaldi was talking through his sequencing, which was so freaking cool. That's that for me. And I don't think you could do this in games other than the All-Star game, but like to have guys talking through their sequencing is so cool for baseball fans, for younger fans who are trying to learn about that.
Well,
And
hey, if you failed that, like say guys talking and horsing
yeah,
around and gives up a game winner, for the All-Star game, I don't think I'd be so cool about it. Like, well, I just blew that one, and you'd have to play it off pretty damn good. But
right.
meanwhile, your guts doing somersaults.
Yeah, right.
Inside going like that sucked.
Yeah.
And I'm embarrassed myself. ESPN highlight, low light right there, and I'm mic'd up.
I
I'm doing
know.
it. So
I know.
I guess that's what I think about. I hope nobody's on that side of it.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
But I
to
think
embarrass themselves.
it was interesting to see too, because they had Evaldi mic'd up against Corbin Carroll, which was awesome.
Yeah.
A batter and a pitcher mic'd up. But I was like, I think you might want. They should have picked someone else, in my opinion. Not that Corbin Carroll isn't a good enough player to be chosen for that. He's incredible, but it was his first All-Star game at bat in his hometown of Seattle. Like. And he's the same age as me. I would have been shitting myself nervous if I was like, I'm trying to put myself in his shoes.
I guess mic'd up. It's cool that way.
Yeah.
During the playoffs or games, I hate when they break out and interview the manager or a player during the game. I'm sorry, man. The game means too much to me. That that's where the media, and the players, like, I would be like, nah, man, I'm not doing that.
Well, it's all the same questions too. It's not like you're ever learning anything new necessarily. So
right.
it's always just like, how's the pitcher doing? And it's like, he's good. Yeah. It's good.
He's doing great.
Yeah. Outlook for the rest of the game. We're gonna battle.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't know what part of the basic agreement allows that and what they've agreed to on that. But again, that's just something that I would do. Discard that, please.
Yeah.
For me, because I understand as a player, like you don't want somebody. It's like saying that you want your patrons in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You think Guy Fieri wants people in there looking at his recipe?
Right.
Just get out. I'm going to bring you the food. Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to bring it to you.
Exactly.
You got to open up a new restaurant. You don't get a backstage pass.
Right.
Unless we've invited you.
Exactly.
So I don't know. That's just kind of my thing. It's like everybody wants access, and you're like, No, man, this is our office.
Yeah. No, I get
You
it. Absolutely.
Like somebody comes into your studio. You want everybody in there right now?
No, you do not. No. No, I
you
do
gotta
not.
listen to the podcast. You gotta listen to the podcast when we get it out there. We can't have you coming in the background.
Exactly.
Maybe dancing bears behind you. Maybe the dancing bears.
I got the dancing bears on my computer.
I'm still not a fan, dude. You have to
That's all right. I think my camera
convince
went.
me about the dancing bears. Bro.
I know.
You have to kind of figure out a long road trip. It may or may not sway me, but I don't think it will because I went through with it. I never got it, but yeah. So that's the All-Star. Well, also too, some of the bigger teams. We know that the frontliners, the Yankees. Derek Jeter came out and was politicking for Juan Soto. Aaron Judge isn't coming back, so big names. It'll be surprising, but there's all this talk, right? With who's winning. And this is the part of the season people get really excited about because we have a shot.
Yep.
And you see who's really in this game and who's hedging their bets and big market teams that are not only playing for right now, but they may keep that player and continue to pick up their contract.
Yeah.
But giving up a lot of talent and to do so.
These
prospects, man.
The trade deadline is a crazy time, and I think what's most interesting to me, and you brought up Juan Soto, and I think you could put a couple teams into, really two for me, and I think this is the biggest, and this is not just me being a homer, but there's these next 10 to 14 days leading up to the trade deadline can literally make or break a few team seasons, in my opinion, and I think the two teams in particular are the Mets and the Padres, the rich kids of the offseason last year, because I mean, these are teams that are still, if you want to call them, yes, they're in a hunt for a wild card right now, but clearly they have major issues that they have not been able to overcome so far this year. And these next 10 to 14 games are going to decide whether or not they're going to be able to do that. And I want to ask you, too, because you brought him up, like I said, do you think Juan Soto is someone that the Padres entertain maybe putting out on the trading block? Because he's got another year after this.
Well, it always depends on where are they in the hunt, you know, and then what are they getting in return. Like I said, there's a lot of amazing prospects out there. I know one of the ones I looked at deep, like who's in the top 100. The Dodgers have 9 top 100 prospects.
They're incredible.
That's unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
So getting let's just for hypothetical, say the Dodgers go out and. Okay, was Ohtani somebody they can go get? Yeah, they would. That's a team that would likely do it. West Coast team, close to Japan.
Yep.
They got all these prospects, but do you give up that much, right? Unless it's long term, I could see them being in a hunt as opposed to, somebody like, I don't know, the Reds, Cincinnati Reds, or whatever, and they're an exciting team to talk about. We've talked about them in the past, but giving up top talent to go, okay, maybe we'll be in the hunt this year and build upon that because of whatever their financials are.
Yep.
Or hey, we're in this to win it right now and we got one shot. But the longer you wait, right, the less you have to give up. Like right now, if Ohtani's going to be a name too, right, to get a guy like Ohtani that's going to be a name to move, the more you're gonna have to give up more now. Yeah. As opposed to if they wait. And I don't know if the Angels, their fan base would be pissed.
I don't think they're gonna trade him. I don't know why. I know I
don't think they can, dude.
You're right, you can't.
You can't. That fan base, nobody would show up. And again, there's a lot to watch. Mike Trout's a great player. Got to play with him, and awesome guy at that. But yeah, that would be. Again, we're watching the reality TV show, and that's why we talk about all these fun things. We're curious and waiting to see what happens. We don't have the answers to the test yet.
Right, exactly. And the crazy thing about this whole, and obviously this is what people want to hear about when you talk about Ohtani, because this is going to be the story of the second half, because if you're the Angels GM, like. And he's said it too. He's come out and said I'm not trading Shohei Ohtani. And
wait, bro. Let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
there's a lot of deals that go on
Well,
at that All-Star game,
right.
and there could be a deal or 5 in place that we don't know about.
Sure.
It hasn't happened yet
Yeah.
because they're working out all the intangibles or whatever goes down with that.
Right.
I guarantee you, there's a deal that's going to be like you might have seen your favorite player or a player that was in the uniform for the last time representing his team before he gets traded at the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That could happen.
Yeah. I remember what's his name? Jeff
Machado?
Samardzija got traded during the All-Star game. I think he was on the A's, and I can't remember if
So
he
did
was.
Machado, didn't he?
Machado got traded after
He was
the
in-
All. Yeah, he was traded from the Orioles to the Dodgers.
Right.
But it was right
So
after the All-Star game. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Did a deal happen at
Right.
the All-Star game? Had to have. Had to have.
You never
And
know.
the guys had a couple drinks and like, all right, man, we'll trade you. Yeah, these GMs, they're human too. We're talking about players. These guys are human too. They're just playing Stratomatic baseball with real people, right?
Yeah, I mean it's true. Hey, you never know. I guess I don't.
Would you like to be in that position? No, we're just behind the desk here, just surmising some stuff.
I'll
and
you,
see if it's
yeah,
fucking intelligent after it
I
happens.
do not want to be in Artie Moreno's position, the Angels GM. I do not want to be in his position. Or what is he the? Who's the Angels GM? Is it Artie Moreno or am I thinking of someone else? Angels. Let me make sure I know. I wonder if it was the same GM that Perry Manasian. That's who I'm thinking of. But you could see it from both sides because it's like I think it's I don't know. Is it pretty well known right now that Ohtani's not going to sign with the Angels after this year? I think so. But
He wants to win. Look,
Exactly.
he's made it to the big leagues. He's dominating it at that.
right.
He wants to win.
Right.
No different than anybody.
Of course.
In the big leagues. You want to be with a contender, but when you've checked off all these other boxes, that's the biggest thing. At the end of the day, when you're done playing, yeah, you could win all these awards, but to
Right.
say that you won, right? That is the ultimate thing at the pinnacle. Look at the Tom Brady's, the Michael Jordans of the world. That defines you.
Yogi
as
Berra.
your great Yogi Berra, your greatness.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How great were you? How great were you to your team, and how consistently were you great? What makes you great? Being good for a very long time.
Yeah, damn right. And I think that's
an elite class, man.
Yep,
An
and that's the
elite-
thing. Like you said about Ohtani, he's going to win his second MVP award this year. He's probably going to win a few more by the time his career is over. But I bet you, if you asked him, it's that World Series ring is the one that he
Absolutely.
really wants. And I think that he probably doesn't get that chance with the Angels for a long time if he re-signs with them. So with that being said,
I would take all that jewelry.
Yeah.
The guys are wearing.
mm-hmm,
It's a lot of money in those dog collars
Yeah.
that guys are wearing, diamonds and all, and the hood ornaments that players get now. Wasn't the Atlanta Braves had lights and all these things that crazy stuff that they're putting into rings
yeah,
to win a championship. So, yeah, it's an unbelievable thing to get. I remember I never got a World Series ring, but I got the AL Champs one in 2006, and it was still it was a World Series ring, just didn't say it on there,
yeah.
So yeah, it's the hardware people want, man.
Who was the most, this is kind of off topic, but who was the most blinged out player that you played? Like, who was the guy that had all the chains, all the jewelry? Who was that guy that you played with?
It's funny. It's hard to sift through the ones that are now. Like everybody seems they got beads and pearls and
Yep.
sisters. Daughter made them a bracelet. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's wearing anything and everything. It's they're blinged out.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe Taylor Swift bracelet or whatever. Right? They do all the. There's stuff like that players wear too, and it's all superstition. It's bringing that bravado and ego. But I'm trying to remember who. I just remember going like, I don't know how you can wear some of that stuff because
While you're
sometimes
playing.
knock out one of your front teeth on a swing or a pitch.
Right.
And I just the distraction of having to tuck it in every time,
Yeah.
or maybe that was enough distraction to kind of calm you down.
Yeah. I've always been like a little small silver chain guy. So that's always been my
All right.
thing.
No, these
Nothing
guys are
crazy.
these guys are wearing.
But I mean, you're talking
chains
pendants, like big
yeah.
chains. So it's crazy stuff.
I'd like to borrow one to see what it feels like. The weight, probably get a laceration up here from all the diamonds.
Jose Siri on the Rays, he's got like 3 different pearl necklaces and then the chains and everything. He's got a couple earrings in each ear. Like, I mean, but he looks swaggy, so I can't, you know what I mean?
It's a jeweler's dream, man. It's starting to look like a, better rap video than back in the hip hop videos back in the 90s.
Well, Jock Peterson made those pearls popular when he wore them in the World Series and, went ballistic there. And that was, I mean, I think after that, now everyone's wearing the pearls. But yeah,
with social media, the influence stuff, it's really amazing how, the name, image, and likeness thing, it really is prominent. And, you can't blame guys for trying to capitalize on that because you have a short fuse in line to make the most of your name and brand and whatever else you do because you're in a uniform longer than you're out in one most cases. So
good point.
On the other side of it, these guys, I don't blame them for trying to make their own mark and being themselves. And like you said, humanizing. You're seeing the personality and guys giving good guys a lot of money. It's fun to watch what they do and hopefully do good things with it. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Let's finish out by talking some quick second half predictions here. And I think what I want to ask you is just pose a question here for both leagues. We'll go with we'll start with the NL here. But do you think it's more likely that the 2 teams that have been the Diamondbacks and the Reds, is it more likely that they keep up the unexpected success that they've had so far this year, or do you think it's more likely they keep that success up, or is it more likely that the teams that were favored at the beginning of the year, the ones I mentioned before in the Mets and Padres, is it more likely that they get going? Which one do you think balances out, or do you think they will balance out?
I guess it's a daunting thing, man. I know when you're losing, it's a stigma that the clubhouse it's deflated and you're just trying to get through the season, and then you start. I hate to say it, I think you kind of get a little bit more individualized if you feel like the team's not pulling. And there's guys, I guarantee you, that are hoping like, man, I wish I could take my good season and be with a good team. So there is a little bit of healthy selfish going on internally, and you can't blame guys because everybody wants to win. Look at the Pirates. The Pirates were the first surprise team. I thought they had a weak schedule in the beginning, not to pick on them, but, are they going to have a resurgence and say, hey, man, can we pick it up here and make a chase? And when you get hot, streaky, I'll go back to, I remember when the Rockies, it was 2007, they won like 20-something straight at the end. That's unbelievable, to see those type of things, and it just becomes like what happened in that month's time that said, hey, guys, we're having this much fun. Let's see what we can do. Empty the tank. We are good. We're having fun, And the team that has the most flash to me, because of the leadership of one rookie player, it was the Reds. Look what the Reds are doing.
Exactly.
Right? To me, the Reds, if they're playing like they've been playing, at the end of the season and carry that into the playoffs, there's no telling that they can't, beat a team that's favored.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the team that's always the best that wins. The team that's the hottest
gets hot at the right time. Yeah.
Plays better.
So you think so you're saying it's probably more. It's. Would you say it's harder to kind of find that that spark that the Reds seem to have? It's harder to find that when you're playing the way that the Mets and Padres are, rather than if you are playing where the Reds and Diamondbacks are, for example, losing that. It's harder to lose that.
I'm sorry to say that the New York media kind of plays into that heaviness, right? You got the intensity. What people don't realize is the intensity, man, that is surrounded not just on your own self, what you expect out of yourself, playing for your teammates, and playing for the city, right? And how guys deal with that internally, there's a mental grind there that people do not experience. When you boo a player, a good player, if you're wearing a big league uniform, you're one of the best in the world.
Sure.
You don't have to like the guy, but the respect and, hey man, if he's dogging it, I get a boo here or there. But when a guy's going bad, sometimes it's not because he wants to. Believe me, he wants to dig himself out of a hole more than anybody else.
Of course.
And I've been on that side of it where I couldn't get somebody out. I was praying for a 1, 2, 3 lucky and hit 3 Scud missiles at somebody, and it could change your whole attitude.
Yeah.
It's amazing what the winning side or putting up a 0 or going 1 for 3, getting that little flare when you're 0 for 20. You know, I talked to Sean Casey about that. You know, just how do you, as a hitter, I'm like, it's so hard. How do you battle it? And that's really what life, man, is about. That's why baseball to me is the greatest game. Because when you can get through baseball and you understand the grind of baseball, it's so applicable to life, how you have to deal with life. It doesn't always happen. You don't hit all the green lights all the time, and you're going to have some bad hops. If you have 3 or less bad hops and things that happen to you during the day, you've had a great day, right? How do you deal with adversity? That baseball, that's everything, you know? I could walk the bases loaded, get into a jam, and get out of it, you know? If I had that tenacity, like, no one's scoring. And that happened to me once. I was in Seattle. That was one of my favorite. I walked two infield hits and a walk, bases loaded. And, that was in Seattle. So another Seattle moment topic. But
full circle. That's you brought it up, and I think that's a great way to end, actually. You mentioned Sean Casey, you know, friend of the podcast, obviously, friend of yours. Obviously, was named as the hitting coach, and he's rocking the stash now. I saw
he's called the Don Mattingly mustache.
He did. Is he channeling that
porn star mustache? I don't know. We'll see how long it goes. If he can turn around the lineup, I hope he will. His energy is infectious.
Have you talked to him since he? I've
texted him. Yeah, he's busy, man. He's trying to find housing and everything. He goes from, I don't know how long backstory of Brett Boone. He's friends of team with him, pulling the rope and saying, "Dude, we need you over here." So hopefully that Casey's energy will be good. But the expectation to fix a lineup, you know, on him, I hope it doesn't fall too hard on him, because that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work that he's walking into, and like I said, big expectations as the Yankees. But if anybody can do it, I believe in my buddy Sean Casey, and I wish him well. We were supposed to go to dinner here in Pittsburgh, but I told him, I said, dude, I'll come to New York City. So
there you go.
I got to go see my former agent and Sean Casey. We're doing dinner. So hopefully a former big leaguer won't big league a former big leaguer. I'm asking him, and he's got to pick up the check, because he's got a Yankee paycheck is paying him. So I'll make sure we pick out an expensive restaurant.
I love that. I want to ask actually real quick, and maybe I don't know if you know, like, what goes into being a hitting or pitching coach at the big league level? Because this is something I've always wondered as a fan of the game. But like, you know, these are guys who are the best in the world at what they do. How much coaching are they getting, and what does that coaching look like? Like, what is Sean Casey about to do when he steps into the Yankees hitting coach position?
I think he's got to learn these people and personalities real quick. Some guy may like look and say, you know, everybody's got a different way and approach, right? And he's got to figure that out quick and get the cliff notes, and I'm sure get downloaded on what these guys want and what they need. And you know, Casey's a great teammate, man. He's a good person and a good teammate, and anybody, you don't get a nickname like the mayor for no reason.
That's right.
So I think that Casey will blend in very quickly. I mean, just being the knowledge that he's had, he's been an MLB analyst, and he's got his own show. He knows the game, I think, and I hope that these guys will love and respect him for what he's done and trust him. That's basically it, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just getting a trust and a rapport with these guys to say, hey, you know, come in here and change all this. People are going to be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I think you just got to build a rapport and build that trust. I think that's the biggest thing that he's going to.
Is he just kind of like talking through approach with these guys? Is that kind of what, like, is that what a hitting coach is doing? Like, is he coming in and just being.
Yeah, I think just kind of saying, "Hey, man, did you think about this?" Or, "Hey, I
Yeah.
see this. What do you think about?" It's having a conversation
Yeah.
and getting on that dude's level to develop that, and then you know, here's an example. So
Sure.
Gary Sheffield, when we were in the playoffs for the Blue Jays, 2016, Sanders, an outfielder, when I went to lunch with him and Pedro Martinez, and Chef was giving some hitting tips, right? Just about, hey, man, you should try to do this. Don't you know when he's up in the broadcast booth, Sanders hits a home run. And I was like, I pointed up that I think there's a video of it, of me pointing to go, because I'm like, Chef, you said that to him last night.
Yeah.
He took your advice because he's like, yeah, I'm going to listen to Gary Sheffield. So, again, Sean Casey, Major League All-Star, I don't know how many times, 3-4 times, right? Knows what he's doing as far as hitting goes, career 300 hitter. How do you not listen to a guy like that? Trust a guy like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't know. The mustache may take him a little less seriously. I don't know. We'll find out if that mustache stays or if he's going to shave it off.
That's right. Well, it remains to be seen. But good luck to our friend
luck,
Sean
Dave.
Casey.
And hey, man, I know we covered a lot of stuff. We were fireworks everywhere, man. It was a lot of hot topic, but that's where we're at, and I can't wait to see what happens down the stretch. So.
Very exciting
Mound
time.
Visit, bro. Another great Mound visit.
Absolutely.
Drink your milk, eat your Wheaties.
That's right. And check us out on subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Give a like to the episode. Drop a comment. Do the same thing on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And we will talk to you next week.